think it's really important to go back to the basics of what are we doing? What are we accomplishing? Ultimately, the only thing that's important, yes, there's money, there's payers, there's all these things that come into play. The only thing that's important is that interaction between that patient and that physician or clinician, right? That's what all of this is about. How do we make that painless? How do we make that shine in a way where the physician doesn't feel overwhelmed and the patient doesn't feel the supply side of it. So from a provider perspective, many times there is multiple steps a provider has to go through before interacting with the patient. There is a tech literacy gap, I would say, right? Highly educated providers, but they're not used to. This is not what they do. Technology is not what they do. And so it takes effort to learn. It takes muscle memory to get to it. And after a while, people give up, right? They just don't want to deal with it. That means they're slower in interacting. So they'll reluctantly interact with patients, or they'll do it in a way that's not optimal for patient interaction. So how do we address that? We built our system from the ground up, right? Working and customizing in a way that allows us to make the life easier for our provider. Intentionally looking at the process of picking up a patient. How do we make a queue that's readily giving information to the patient so they don't have to do to the provider so they don't have to do multiple clicks? How do we use it so that even a provider could convert a patient from audio to video? They don't have to be a tech wizard because they went to med school. And how do we do it where we provide the clinical information in an easy format in front of them, right? And really triage the problem that's in front of them. How do we use data to leverage our staffing? What I mean by that is everything that we're collecting, all the information that's coming in, that's in a database somewhere. Now, how do we translate that the data into operational success, and so that we're staffing at the right time with the right amount of staffing to make it work, right? And that's just as important, the architecture. Yeah. But I think all those things go into it.
So maybe to get to some basics, you've got one bunkered staff that's serving the entire population of New York City. Is that accurate?
I would say for each of the service lines. So,
Yes.
For each of the service lines. For medical, we have bunkered staff that are working from home. So there's an advantage there. It's also thinking about that, the commute, the interaction, all the things that go into it. We're saving that time, right? So it helps with retention. It helps with satisfaction, which in results in better patient interactions. And how do we get the most out of everyone, right, involved in that interaction? So one bunker staff, and at various times, there might be 10, 15, 20 people, right? 20 staff members on trying to serve the patient population.
This is a little bit of a hypothetical, then I'm going to put you on the spot here. I imagine if you were to take these same providers and put them in in-person settings, meaning place them across New York City so that patients can access them in person, I imagine you would need more staff. What kind of ratio or multiplier would you put on your staff if you had to have them all meet patients in person?
Yeah, I mean, I think that depends on various factors, but I think you sometimes need 2 to 3 times the staff members, right? Maybe more, because you're highly depending on if you have appointments, but patients miss appointments, if they're notorious for that. It's about in the retail world is the walk-in patients, right? So it's the foot traffic. Do you have foot traffic in that location? And they'll determine it. And you will never really get it right in an on-demand format. So you either undersubscribe or oversubscribe, and it's waste, right? In various ways. Patients aren't happy or the staff is. So I think the hybrid model works the best, or a remote model works the best to efficiency. The other advantage I have 11, I mentioned, I have 11 acute hospitals within our system. One day there might be a surge in Queens. We're fairly large, 300 square miles or so, as you guys mentioned earlier. I can't deploy the staff, right? Even the travel time, it's right. So I'm able to titrate that up or down centrally through one source, and then it doesn't matter geographically where the patient's located, right? As long as I have my central allocation perfected, I am good to treat anyone anywhere and we just deploy it. And we did this through COVID. We've done this through other emergencies as well as just normal business now.